Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector. And even though I'm getting back into retro collecting, I'm still trying to be frugal with the purchases that I'm making, right? I'm trying to be conscientious. I'm trying to make sure that I don't overbuy or I don't overspend. And with, physical games being removed from big box stores like Best Buy and, Target and Walmart, we're kind of dependent at this point on our local mom and pop stores for physical video games. And then probably what's next would be GameStop. And then outside of that, it's pretty much going to be, like our thrift stores, our pawn shops, and things like that. Now, obviously, when we start thinking about things like quantity, GameStop definitely has a lot of stuff. But I watched another JRPG Life video, and they kind of said a lot of the things that I said in my video where I talked about 5 signs of a poorly managed GameStop. And judging from their experience, I think it's a little similar to what I've experienced, where I don't know if it's a nationwide, like a national thing that we're seeing with GameStop, or if it's just subject to certain stores, and it really just depends on who's managing the store. They had mentioned something in their video about prestige locations. I didn't even know something like that existed. But in my mind, I just began to wonder, like, is GameStop lying to us with certain things? And this is what I mean. I've never gone to a GameStop where every shelf was completely packed. And if it was, I mean, it's probably because the games weren't laid out properly. I feel like there's enough room in each GameStop store for them to lay out all of their retro stuff and all of the good stuff. But what I tend to find is, like, a lot of the stuff that collectors would go looking for, you have to like ask them for it. And then I've also seen, this happened to me on my local GameStop. I remember and I have a video of this actually, where I walked into my local GameStop and they had a copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube on the shelf with the manual and everything. And when I walked up to the register and tried to buy it, the store owner, like, he took the game and he looked at it, and the look that he made when looking at the case was like, "Oh shoot, like, we have this in the store?" And he was almost shocked to see that it was complete in box. And once he like went to go ring it up, he looked in the system and he was like, "Oh, we don't have this. I know we have the case, but we don't have this in store." And the first thing that came to my mind was like, yo, this dude is lying to me. They have this in the store, but he probably just didn't realize they had it, and he's going to tell me that they don't have it. And there goes a great opportunity to get Super Smash Bros. For 29 bucks, which everyone knows a complete in box copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee right now runs for anywhere between $60 and $70. So there's a part of me that feels like certain stores do this on purpose, where they take their more sought after games and they either keep them in the drawers or keep them behind the register. And it becomes one of these things where you have to like ask them. And my whole thing is that if you know you're in a store that's understaffed, where you don't have enough help, why not do yourself the favor and just put as much product out on the shelf as possible so that folks don't have to bother you and ask you? But I'm just noticing this trend at GameStops again, where the more common stuff is like ready and available. But it seems like if you want the stuff, the good stuff, we all know what the good stuff is, right? We know the games that we're actually looking for. And when you want the good stuff, it's almost like you really have to go and ask for it, and you have to bug them for it. And it's almost like, you're bothering them when you ask them to do these things. Now, I have a stack of the GameStop pickups that I've made so far in the first quarter of 2024. And I'm just going to kind of run through them with you here, and you're going to kind of notice a difference, right? So first up, we have Super Bomberman 2. Whoa, Super Bomberman 2 for Super Nintendo. This is a Super Nintendo game that I picked up from GameStop. Was pretty psyched when I saw this online, added that. Journey to Silius, I already talked about this. This was a Nintendo game that I picked up. And then this is more of the stuff that I found in store. So obviously Bayonetta, nothing too crazy. Saw this at the store. Final Fantasy 13, definitely saw this at the store, added it. Toy Story 3, this was a store pickup. Sonic Unleashed, this was sitting on the shelf, store pickup. And then, of course, Dante's Inferno, this was a store pickup. Now, this one I was really shocked to see. And again, I think the only reason why I was able to pick this one up, because this was at the same store where I actually saw the Smash Bros. And I think that it also depends on who's in store, right? So the gentleman that helped me with this purchase, when he saw it, um, fighting games are a little tricky. Like, only certain fighting games I feel like are highly sought after. Most people kind of leave fighting games on the shelf because that's much more of a niche type of genre. It kind of like like certain shoot 'em ups. Like, if you don't know, if you've never heard of certain shoot 'em ups, like retro shoot 'em ups, and you see them sitting on a shelf in GameStop and you're not into shoot 'em ups, you're probably gonna just walk by them because you don't really know, or you don't really care. Like, if someone saw a copy of like R-Type Delta sitting in a GameStop, they might just see and walk right by it because they're like, R-Type Delta, it looks like an airplane game. I don't really care about it. And most people won't know that R-Type Delta is like a $250 game. And even a lot of times the store owners won't know. And they might have it in there sitting on a shelf for like 15 bucks because in their mind it's an old PlayStation game. And so they might leave it there on the shelf and they may not care. And it would really take someone who's like a video game collector or someone who knows about games or played games back in the day to see a game like that and grab it off the shelf. And I feel like that's the case for certain fighting games. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if someone left a copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Well, I'll take that back. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a classic. I think a lot of people know about that one. So that might fly off the shelf. But something like a Capcom versus SNK 2, while yes, it's somewhat of a rare PS2 game, I don't think it's something that's going to turn a lot of heads for the just like your most average gamers. And even most GameStop employees won't really know how sick this game is. And I think that's part of the reason why this was still sitting on the shelf. So I happened to just luck up that day and grab it. Someone commented on my video that I originally posted about this game that I think they think that we were at the same store. So they were saying that they also saw some other PlayStation 2 games there as well. But it really just boils down to who's in the store and if they're aware, right? So the gentleman who helped me with this, I don't think he was too hip to PS2 or hip to this game or what it's really worth. And also, because this game has a price of $39.99, for most people, they're not going to find that it's worth it. They're going to be like, oh, $40 for a PlayStation 2 game? I'm not paying that. I didn't pay that for this game. This game wound up being $29.99 for me because I did have points and I had coupons that I was able to use on it. But this one's kind of like a rare exception. And then you have Transformers Fall of Cybertron. Now, I was actually lucky enough to find this one with the slipcover. And this is like a $40 to $50 game that I found at a GameStop for like 16 bucks or so. But really, when you're in the store, you really have to look up and like know exactly what you're looking for. You have to, in your own head, know what the value of certain games are to really kind of strike a deal. I feel like if the store owner or whoever's working there that day has any kind of inclination that the game has any value, they're going to lie. I feel like they're going to lie. And I feel like that's a big part of the reason why they keep certain games in the drawer. Because I've also gone to certain other GameStops where they have some of the retro stuff out, but then like when they open the drawer to get you the disc for the game you're buying, you see like a whole stack of other games, like way more games, N64, all that stuff. So GameStop, you have some explaining to do. I need to know, which one is it? Do you have the game? Do you not have the game? And are you giving us the good deals or not? Let me know down in the comments what you think. I'm the Y2K Collector.